This is the bonus footage for YouTube. Jason's nowhere to be found. Alright, here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Road to Ironman. This is episode 11. You have two of us today. You have Lex Gideon, last name again.
Last name included.
And me. So, welcome to the show.
We have no idea where Jason is.
Jason was supposed to be here. I assume he
is taking a nap.
Either is taking a nap, playing some kind of video game, or he's having stick fights with other barbarians. Or club fights. Jousting. I don't know. Whatever he's doing. He's probably in the Game of Thrones right now. He actually is sitting on the Iron Throne.
There we go. I know nothing about that, but sure.
don't either. Okay. I watched a couple of episodes. That was it. But anyway, since we seem to talk about it every time, let's talk about biking. Both of us biked today.
Yep.
I went a little bit further than I intended to. I think I'm doing a full triathlon tomorrow morning. Based on the weather. Weather this weekend looks like crap again.
It looks terrible.
But I think there's a 4-hour window from about 6 a.m. to
11,
10 or something like that tomorrow where we can get some stuff in. So I had intended on doing an easy bike today. My heart rate says it was pretty easy. I got a little above my zone. I think I averaged 132. And trying to do math live. So I did a much longer path through town. I was at 14 miles when I hit the bike path. And I'm like sitting here going, if I go out 5 and come back 5, that's 24. I'm perfect. Yeah, you're on a bike still 2 miles from your house, bro. So I ended up, and I also learned it's not 2 miles to my house, it's 2.3 miles to my house. So I ended up hitting 26.3. My average heart rate with some climbs and things like that ended up being 132. But that was my longest ride ever. I hit most climb ever, so I did a lot of hills today apparently. And then
what hill did you do besides the one
there? So instead of turning at the bridge at Tyndall, I kept going straight.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how many little ups and downs.
I drive that road every day.
River Run, and then when you turn left onto 201, that's one of those like our Glass City where it's just a slow like
forever incline.
Yeah, and you're like shit. But it was an easy run. Ride rather. It had me,
like damn, you ran too.
It had me. I kind of just went to a different spot in my head and was just thinking about a bunch of random stuff, which was nice. But Lex was proven right today. If you're watching YouTube, I'm staring at you. Opossums are motherfuckers.
Why'd you put an O in front of it?
Because they're actually called opossums.
I thought the O was silent.
If you spell it, it's opossum.
Well, yeah.
I don't know why I said it that way.
Okay, whatever. That's fine. They're the devil.
So I go flying past this. Well, first of all, I almost hit a squirrel. And I'm thinking, I'm going to crash because of a squirrel.
What's one last squirrel?
Well, yeah, and then a bunny hopped.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, there's a lot of wildlife out here. And then out of nowhere, it looked like fucking Sonic the Hedgehog had spun out and stopped. And it like started barking at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then it starts hissing. And I'm like,
yeah, it gets worse.
I'm like, oh, wow. I'm really happy I'm going 17 miles an hour because that fucker would look like it was going to try and bite me.
Yeah. Did it arch its back?
Yes. It looked like You're gonna watch YouTube for that one.
Have you ever seen The Princess Bride before?
I have, but not enough to like have it memorized.
Okay,
it's
like
been
the
25 years.
ROUSs.
ROUSs.
The rodents of unusual size.
No.
Okay, in the movie. That's what I think of every time, and it like scared the shit out of me as a kid. So now every time I see a possum, I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. Anytime I see one dead, I think justice has been served. Appreciated.
Yeah, it was pretty cool ride. One of the things, and I know we all have different ways of processing boredom. I wouldn't say I actually get bored on the ride. I go to just it's almost like a meditative state. I hear, oh shit, Lisa Kramer, MVP.
MVP, thanks, Boo.
She shows up with her CR juices.
Did they not read my Christina?
She's fired. Well, Christina's not there,
Thank you.
is she?
No.
She actually was there.
Christina's there?
They're not working.
Oh.
They must have been stopping by or something.
All right.
Shout out.
Well, thank you.
See ya.
Did Justine make my bowl? Sorry, Justine.
She might have, yeah.
Thank you, Justine.
How
Thank
many
you.
times can you say that since I ratted you out for not knowing her name?
Also got a what is that called? Graduation party invitation that she invited my dad to. So I saw her picture today, and I was like, "Oh, that's Justine." Does she have a twin?
I don't think
That's
so.
well,
Maybe she does.
there's a guy in that picture too, and they both have the same last name. So unless she's married,
It's possible. Jason was threatening her yesterday.
oh, that's
Not
good.
yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever day I was there. Might have been yesterday. Jason goes in and goes, I'm going to have his dad, me, and Jason go there at the same time. And she goes, please don't. I had to deal with Jay today already. And I'm having to deal with you, and his dad is just like us. And it's like,
Yeah,
that would be very painful for anybody to deal with us.
yeah,
'Cause
that's
we
a
just-
lot in a day.
Like, I literally will walk in, and if Christina's being Christina, I'll tell her Alexa unit. I'll be like, Alexa, order me anal ease. And to go, add it to Christina's cart. And then Christina, like, either that day or whenever she goes to check out Amazon, has to remember to remove whatever she put in. Sometimes it's anal ease, sometimes it's tampons, sometimes it's just random dumb shit.
Yeah.
And it's that's how I make the time pass when I'm at Sierra
Yeah,
Juices.
there we go.
So
That's awesome.
yeah. Anyway, so for me, when I was on the bike today, the 14 miles through town, you have to kind of pay attention more when you're going through town. So I was just in the moment in those, just kind of thinking, all right, there's this hill, really watching my heart rate, because my heart tends to go up more in town because I'm stressed about, a
Traffic.
motorcycle almost hit me, fucking dude with a trailer didn't get over, just whatever it is. So you have to pay attention a little bit more through town. It's very deceiving when you go on the trail.
Yeah.
You can get even running, you can get a false sense of how good you're getting at something because it's just a long, flat, you can go brain dead on it and just kind of check out. Whereas when you're going through town, you actually have to pay attention to, traffic. Wind changes very dramatically out there. You got to watch the road for all the glass and what's shocking to me is how many fucking people just dump their 24-ounce Bud Ices or Natty Ices on the side of the road. It's like,
Which also your beer choice is terrible.
yeah, it's
so.
like get a better beer.
Yeah.
And clean up after yourself.
Odd. 2 things you think you would get done by now.
Yeah, but I hit the trail and I kind of caught myself just daydreaming on this thought that I don't know what popped into my head or why it popped into my head, but once you have kids, your priorities shift.
I wouldn't know.
And I kind of did this I did my bike at lunchtime today because I just, my kids were gone. It just made sense to get it done, so I had more time with them later. And you just sit there and you think, I joked around on Tuesday or whenever we did the last podcast that I'm a bad father and, you're doing this, but at the same time, you want to teach them from your mistakes.
Right.
I did a lot of dumb shit growing up. Like, I wasn't a bad kid, I was a respectful kid, but I didn't give a fuck about school. I don't give a shit about a lot of things that you should care about. And I caught myself just going, I don't want to portray that to my kids. Like, do they hear a lot of bad language? Yes. Do I think that makes them a bad parent, or they're going to follow in our footsteps? No. You make decisions on your own and whatnot. I care more how respectful are they when they meet people and things like that. So I spent basically the last 12 miles of my bike just going, am I leading the right example? Reminiscing about some of the mistakes and shit that I've made throughout my life and just thinking, is this, I say all the time I want to teach my kids that you got to chase your dreams and all. And I'm like, am I teaching it too, am I going too far of an extreme,
Right.
Like Skyline the other day was joking around about we should do another 24-hour event because it was fun camping at the gym. And I'm like, my kids think some of the shit I do is normal.
Yeah.
And, like doing a 24-hour event I'm happy no one got hurt, but that's not a good, like, that's not something you should pull out of your bag of tricks every year.
Right.
You know? So trying to just compartmentalize, like, am I doing the right things with my training? Am I doing the right things with how I'm showing them how you should take care of your body, how you should chase your dreams, but still have time for your family and make some of that stuff count?
Yeah.
And I don't even know how it popped into my head, but I found it to be very therapeutic because I came to the conclusion that I don't think I would change anything, if that makes sense. Like, do I make mistakes? Yes, but I don't think they're bad enough where the kids are going to be adversely affected.
Right.
You know.
Because that's always, I mean, you can just see that when you're here. This has become your family's environment. So you and Debbie are here always. The kids are here always. The dog's here always. Like, it's become it's become your lifestyle. And just to be able to portray that and show them, like, the health, the relationships you can make with people and stuff like that, I think has been pretty cool just as an outsider watching it. And all the kids really that come in here, and they are being exposed to something so different, I think, than what a lot of other kids are. So,
well, I think in today's time frame where Fortnite is what kids like, let's face it, I mean, it's awesome that they created this free video game in this environment where if you can afford a Switch or whatever device you have, you can play this free game, and it's all inclusive, which is awesome. But it's become, it's too much in my opinion. Some people get way too obsessive about it, and it's like, I grew up in a time where if it wasn't raining out, my mom kicked me out the door.
Yep.
As soon as I got up, and I came back for lunches, dinners, and I got told when to show up.
Yep.
Before I went to bed, and it's like, you don't see that. Luckily, with the lifestyle we lead, our kids think it's normal to be active.
Right.
So they don't want to, they'll sit around if we let them, and there's times we do, but there's a lot more times where we're like, no, turn that shit off. We're going outside. We're doing yard work. We're going for a walk with the dogs. We're doing something productive.
Right.
But it all goes back to, me and Kyle had this conversation via text today. We were just talking about he had another rough week of training or lack of training because he doesn't know how to live in the moment per se. And this isn't a shot at him. This was a conversation me and him have had, and this is something me and Eric talk about. I've talked about on the podcast. Be 100% present in what you're doing. And Kyle's struggling with that right now. Like, he's in the middle of a major move. Him and his girlfriend have just bought their first home. And he says when he's here, he's thinking about all the shit he has to be doing there, or when he's on his bike or whatever, he's thinking about all that he's got to do there.
Right.
But equally, when he's there, he's thinking about all the shit he's not getting done. And he was talking about that balance and something he struggles with. And I'm like, oh, I think it gets easier. The busier you are, I think it actually gets easier to have balance. Because I have one of those lifestyles that if I'm not balanced, I'm not getting shit done. Like, I go from the time I wake up until, the time I go to bed, which is usually somewhere around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm usually still going around 10 o'clock at night. And that's when I hit the bed, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
There's no, let's consider what's happening. Let's wind down. No, my ass is exhausted when I lay down.
Right.
But in those moments, I break it down and really focus on the task at hand. And I was trying to have that conversation with him, and he just, the way his brain works, he hasn't got there yet.
Right.
And I get that because 5-6 years ago, when we didn't have JG3 Fitness, when it was just my wife, I, and the kids, we had all this freedom where it's real easy to not be in the moment because you have so many things that you want to do.
Right.
And you have all these hopes and dreams and things pop into your head, and you're just like, maybe not. When you act on them, you stop having the ability to, like, every day we know we have to be here a certain time. There's a gym to run during these hours, so you lose that opportunity to push it off and be distracted with something else. Now, we could come in here and do real shitty at what we do and be thinking about other things, but over 5 years of having the gym, you learn how to go, all right, I'm not changing the fact that I'm here, so it does me no good focusing on that. So that's one of those things that it's so hard to learn. It's so hard to teach. It's a lot like Jeremy Foose when he got his first muscle up a couple weeks ago or last week. He's like, I finally get what you're saying. And I always tell people, when you're teaching a muscle up, it's so easy to get that turnover, yet so hard.
Yeah.
Because until you've done it, you don't know what to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear it and you're like, I hear that it's easy, but it's not. And then you do it and you're like, fuck, it was easy.
It was so easy.
It was right there. And it's the same thing with being present in what you're doing and finding that balance. It's so easy to tell somebody, hey, if you really want it, when your alarm goes off at 7 o'clock in the morning and you're supposed to meet somebody somewhere, it's real easy to fucking just get up and meet them there. Because if you don't, you're not doing it that day.
Right.
You don't have the option of making it up. That's what you got to do. But when it's not that important to you, it's real easy to hit fucking snooze.
Right.
It's real easy to go, I'm going to do that at 9 o'clock. I'm going to do that at 10 o'clock. I'm going to push that out until it feels comfortable for me.
Yeah.
I was always a sleep in as late as possible guy. Me and my Rick, one of my coworkers that is kind of my mentor through business, he used to joke when I first met him, I'd tell him me and Debbie were still sleeping at noon on, we just didn't do anything. Before we had kids, I was one of the laziest motherfuckers on planet Earth.
See, I can't see that now, but.
And it's funny because me and Debbie will talk about stories like from our past. And she's like, man, you've changed so much, I don't remember that Jay. Like, I don't remember that person anymore. I'm like, oh, I do, because I lived it, and it was hell. And now that I'm a different person, it's hard to think back to those days. Like, it's real hard for me to just turn the brain off and really, unless I'm sitting there with Trent or something like that, and he's like, yeah, let's play video games. And even then, 10, 15 minutes in, I'm like, this is stupid. This wastes my time.
Right.
Let's go. Playing baseball, I'll play catch with him till my arm falls off. Video games, I'm like, why do I have so many gaming systems? I don't even enjoy this thing much. But it's as we tie it back to Ironman, in reality, it's an hour and a half right now a day. Maybe you add in 2.5, 3 hours on our long triathlon day.
Yeah.
If you're unable to find an hour and a half in your day, and even saying that's more just the bike.
Yeah.
Like today, it took me an hour and 40 minutes to ride my bike. My swim took me a half hour working time, or 12 minutes working time. I was actually in the pool for about 25. Running, I didn't really run this week, but even if you're running the 3 miles, 4 miles that I'm calling, 40, 45 minutes max?
Max.
So to fit that into your schedule should not be that complicated.
Right.
Unless it's not a priority. Which is fine if it's not. But that's where my head is, and that's how I compartmentalize. It's just 45 minutes. It's not that hard to change your schedule.
Right.
It's not that hard to fit that in and just eat lunch at your desk while you're working after you do that stuff.
My best training was, I think, when I was so busy. So when I was waking up early to swim before school, then I went to school, then I coached tennis, and then I would do something else. That's when I felt like I was the most dedicated and able to go through every single part of the plan.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it if it was the last thing I did in a day. If I don't have my run, bike, or swim during the week done by 1 o'clock, I'm probably not getting it done. Just how my days go
that makes
it's
sense.
just I have to. If I haven't made it a priority before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm now trusting that something's going to happen or someone's going to be nice enough at the gym in the evening to allow me the time to do it.
Right.
And I'm not the type of person in my place of business. Yes, I run this place. Scott England gives me shit all the time about this. I'll ask him if I'm going to join class, even before Ironman, before anything. If I was going to jump into class, I walk around and ask every member, do you care if I work out with you? And they usually go, you're the fucking owner, what do we care? And I'm like, but out of respect for you,
You do that.
Do you care if I work out with you? And they're like, why would we care? I'm like, because if I'm working out, I'm not going to be as effective as a coach. But if I don't work out with you, I'm literally going all day where I fucked up and I'm not going to work out with you.
Right.
You know, so I've had to readjust how I attack that stuff. But that's what happens if at 1 o'clock I haven't got it done. I'm now asking all the members, and if one person tells me no, I won't do it. So it's very easy to get shit done when you're busy. If you're a busy person, they always say, in my job, my boss always says he gives it to the busiest person. You know, if he's got something he wants to get done, there's 2 of us that he knows are super busy, but if he gives it to us, we're gonna get it done. You know why? Because we don't have time to fuck around with it.
Right.
So if he says, hey, I need this by Wednesday, and he gives it to me Thursday, I have a week to do it. I usually get it to him by Friday because I'm like, I don't want to fuck with this next week.
Right.
I already got my next week planned out, so I might as well just block this off of my schedule now, and then I'm free to go back to doing it my way.
Yeah.
So I think the busier you are, my worst training days are going to be Saturdays and Sundays. Like if we have to do a triathlon on Sunday and we have to wait until noon for the Y to open,
Oh, it's gonna be so.
I'm probably not going to get it done because I'm gonna get up, get it fucking checked off the list, and then I'm pretty unhealthy the rest of Saturday and usually Sunday because
The weather.
we get busy and we end up jumping out and doing God knows what, planting a garden, moving topsoil, fixing a mower, whatever.
30 to 40% chance of rain from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. That's fine.
And then it's clear.
And then it's clear until 11 when it's a
Yeah.
30%
Yeah.
chance.
So I'm guessing
We're fine.
I'm guessing the triathlon's going down tomorrow.
Damn it, I need to drink more water.
But yeah, so that's just kind of how I attack stuff. Let's talk about your bike. How'd your bike go today? You were a little, I don't remember how you worded it. You didn't say it was,
kind of like,
you
it
didn't say
wasn't
it was
bad.
bad.
It just felt like a struggle. And I think that comes from I wasn't able to bike outside earlier
Tuesday,
this week.
yeah. Was it Tuesday you did the trail?
No, Monday.
Monday.
Because of the weather. Thank you, Ohio. And so it's getting that, being comfortable with the bike. I'm a lot more comfortable just sitting on it than I was at the beginning. But it's still like I messed with the gears more today than I think I ever have. Just trying to find something that feels comfortable.
That could be the best thing that ever happened to you.
That's
one
true.
one ride I fucked around with. Actually, I think it was Mother's Day. I went for a 10-mile bike ride, just screwing around. Debbie's like, "Go get your bike done because it's beautiful." It was one of the first nice days out. If you remember, we had such a shitty lead up to Mother's Day that it was nice out, and she's like, "Let's just go ride your bike." And I was like, "I'm only gonna be gone for I think it was 40 minutes," is what I told her. And I screwed with everybody, but I found the gear that felt good.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, my legs are working harder, but I can keep a consistent cadence, and my power output's really nice and allows me to keep my heart rate down. And I was like, all right. Once I figured that out, I go up maybe 2, down maybe 2 from that, and I don't really mess with them outside of that. But that comfort level is probably going to be a game changer for you, because once you find one that's comfortable, you're no longer screwing around. And you're no longer stuck in these gears that don't work, and you're like, man, I'm expending so much energy to not go anywhere. Which is what I was stuck doing. I was in too high of a gear where my legs are just churning and burning, and I'm like, hey, you're doing a lot of work without moving. So I dropped it down to gear, and I'm like, oh, hey, look, my power output went out, and my miles per hour went out, and I don't feel like my heart's going to explode because I'm not working as hard.
So you want your legs to be moving slower. Okay, does that make sense if I say it like that? Okay.
For me personally,
that's what I was kind of noticing is
if your legs are going super fast like a hamster on a wheel. To me, everybody that I've watched, and mind you, I'm not a cycling expert by any means, they look like they're expending a lot of energy versus that's consistent. You know, like that's what I look for in mine, is just this consistent little, and if it slows down too much, I'm like, all right, I gotta go up a gear, you know, or whatever. But I very rarely go past that point for me. I think it's 3 years from the bottom. And I'm like, all right, don't go lower than that. And then I'll go up maybe, usually it's 1 if it's really windy and I'm going up a hill, I'll go up 2, and then I'll slowly work my way back down. But once I found that cadence that feels right for me in the right gear, my speeds went from like 13 and a half to, I think I averaged 15.9 over the entire thing today.
Yeah.
And it's just because I'm no longer sitting there going, man, I'm doing a lot of work for nothing. Like,
Yeah.
And that was watching John Biggs the one day. I'm like trailing him.
The no water day.
Yeah, the no water day. And I'm like trailing him. I'm like, I think I'm doing 3 revolutions for every one of his. And I'm like, wow, my legs are going really fast. And he's just slow, steady. And I'm like, damn. It's like the tortoise and the hare. I'm just fucking sprinting for no reason. My heart rate was through the roof. And I was like, man, I need to figure this out. And then the next time I rode, I just kind of screwed around with it. And I was like, all right, no considering pace, no considering, I'm going to just go off the feel. I don't even think I looked at my watch other than when I finally got into that groove. And I'm like, man, I feel good right now. And I look down, I'm like, oh shit, I'm going like 14 and a half, 15 mile an hour. And then once you find that consistent level, that's when you can work on speed and power. Because now I'm like, all right, I think today you said you average 133.
Heart rate, yeah.
Which you're allowed up to 139 to stay in your zone 2. So you still had 6 points to mess around with. Once you find that comfort, now I can go, all right, how hard can I keep that same speed? So instead of just even going like this, my power, like how hard am I pushing or pulling with my legs? Now you can go, all right, now I'm at 14.2 at the same cadence. Maybe your heart rate jumps to 136, 137.
Right.
That's when you start to figure out, okay.
Yeah.
And then what'll happen, just like today, you overshoot it and you go, fuck, bring it back. Overshoot it, bring it back. And then then at one point I looked down today and once I got to the bike path, I'm 17.8 miles per hour at like a 120 heart rate.
Yeah.
Which is 9 points below where I'm supposed to be. And then you fuck around and go, ooh, I'm fucking good. And then you start pushing and you look down and you're like, oh, I'm 136.
I went too fast.
Failed. But that could be one of the best rides that you've done because it allowed you to screw around and maybe find a comfortable level. And
I keep thinking too, I really just need to, first of all, I need to do some more research into this shit because I have no idea where anything is happening. I don't know what the course looks like. I know nothing. And so I don't know, like, how is it hilly? Is it like, are we going to be on more of a like in city or in town kind of ride, or is it more of like a country? Like, is the wind going to be?
If it's windy, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, I don't know for 100% where the bike trail is, or bike path is, but if you've driven past Delaware State Park, which is where this is pretty much at, you're on, what is that, Route 30? Or 23, and that's just it's basically like being on Route 53. So if it's windy,
you're fucked.
You're dealing with some wind. But I understand it's not, from people that have done it in the past, the run's a little hillier, but the bike's fairly flat. But the bike I looked at was pretty straight line, and then you kind of zigzag your way back.
Yeah, because I think Jason had tagged us in something because they changed the course a little bit.
Yeah, because of construction or whatever. But I understand it's not super hilly.
Okay.
And that's again why I've tried to stay in town more so I can get used to. There are times you can be on that bike path and you don't have to think. It's almost like you're staring at your own back of your head and you're like, wow, it's flat, it's straight. And it's kind of an optical illusion. You almost get lost in the
distance.
You're like, oh, but in town you gotta fucking focus on on what's going on. So that's something you should do. But at the same time, getting comfortable on the bike, nothing beats. I think we talked about it after indoor. Indoor, you're just training the legs to move, but nothing's really going to transfer over other than my legs are moving, my legs are moving, my legs are moving for a consistent period of time. But there's nothing that beats, even if you had to take and cut down to just running on our run portion of the triathlon and biking 3 times a week until you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the end of the world until we start getting into the 5, 6, 7, 8 mile runs. Then you're probably going to want a maintenance run in the middle of the week to just kind of break the legs up and whatnot. But if you're doing this bike once every other week or bike only on the long days, that's usually when you feel the worst because
Yeah.
you forget everything that you picked up on.
Right.
Especially with the gear stuff, the
Right.
wind stuff, like there are little, I don't want to call them tricks, there's little things that you just notice you do and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even realize I fucking did that when I was
Right.
biking, kind of thing.
And I've been so nervous to bike, like when it's wet outside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got rained on, so
Yeah.
I won.
I was a lot less nervous when I talked to the girl at Spoke Life in Fremont that said basically brake sooner and don't brake hard, brake sooner and ease into it, ease out of it kind of thing. But it's kind of like I was describing the wind when it's real windy. Large movements, you slip and slide.
Yeah.
Smaller movements, you tend to be
More stable.
Yeah,
and-
so it's almost like driving in the snow. If
Yeah.
you're driving in the snow and you're coming up to a stop sign, you test it, then you kind of ease into it. And if you test it and you start sliding, you're like, oh fuck, here we
Yeah.
go. That's how I basically interpreted her conversation with me is just don't make any crazy wide turn, like crazy sharp turns, crazy things like
Yeah.
that, or where you're gonna slide and slip around. But the temperature is luckily going up, so you're probably going to have a lot less likelihood of leftover ice or leftover moisture that turns into ice.
Remember like 5 minutes ago when it was snowing, we were trying to bike outside?
Yeah. I remember it's been... Actually, me and John Biggs were texting on Wednesday, and we were joking around that the first outdoor swim we're going to do is going to be by the end of June, maybe. Because I was joking about doing it at East Harbor next weekend when we camp out there. He's like, dude, have you looked at the water temp? I'm like, if it's over 50, I'm gonna see how I feel. And he's like, that's grounds for hypothermia. And I'm like, like I said, I'll see. I'm not saying 100%. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, dude, I'm not wearing a fucking wetsuit at this.
No.
I'm not gonna go buy a wetsuit just to swim outside. He joked around about using his scuba gear, which would have been funny as hell.
He was
but-
cruising.
Was he?
Wednesday.
He said his swim felt pretty good Wednesday. He's getting a little bit more comfortable with everything.
Yeah. Like when we first started, like John and I always were there at the same time. And he would take breaks and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I was faster at that time. But he's like, it just looks so natural. Like he just keeps going. And I was just like, damn.
Yeah. Sometimes that's sometimes all you need to do is get just past the point of comfort, and you realize how much more you have in the tank.
Yeah. It just looked fluid.
Yeah. And ultimately, I was doing the math today. If we had an exact day like today, my bike would take me 3 hours and 40 minutes. And I was like, okay, between bike and swim, I'm somewhere around the 4 hour and 10 minute mark. I can crawl the half marathon.
You could.
At that point.
Well, let's not get cocky.
Yeah, let's not get carried away. But all those things that are, as I was talking with Jason, all those fears and things like that, now you're able to compartmentalize. We talk about being in the moment. Now you go, oh shit, really the only thing that can affect me is if I don't prepare for all scenarios. So I should probably fuck with my bike more.
Right.
Those things. And,
Absolutely.
But now you're able to build that story. Like even if you don't know the course, if you know, okay, I'm gonna bike, I'm gonna swim, I'm gonna transition, I'm gonna bike, I'm gonna transition, I'm gonna run. Swimming, I've been doing long enough that any scenario that pops up, I'm probably okay with. Even if my goggles break and I have to swim with my head up. Been there, done that. Probably gonna slow me down, not gonna get time cap. Now biking, okay, as long as I don't do the same thing I did with the first CO2.
Did you buy another one?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
They're closed all weekend, so I will
Oh,
run
okay.
over there on Tuesday. But I have my manual pump, so I'm okay with that. But you build that. What can go wrong? And it's just being smart enough to go. All right, if I train to where I'm always like again today, I was shocked. I got off the bike. And we put Stella on the trampoline, and I started jumping with her, just screwing around. But that was 30 seconds after I got off the bike. I'm
Yeah.
on a trampoline jumping with my dog.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought you were gonna say daughter at first,
No.
and you just said dog. Like
No.
that was it. It was just you and the dog.
Yeah, just me and the dog. Yeah. And it was really, she was being a pain in the ass, and she was barking, and so I threw her up on the trampoline, and she's like, "Ooh, this is cool," and I'm like, "Let's see how cool this is."
Yeah.
And, but I realized how I know now why ultra endurance is it's so much easier to get rhabdo, because I did a very long ride today, in my opinion. Wasn't super long, but I burned 900 calories and I felt perfectly fine. And if I'm not present in my mind on how much I did, and I overdo cross training or something like that, you could get pretty hurt.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, mental note, don't make it that it was in your head. It's easy after the fact to go back and go, God damn, that was easy. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
But there's times where you got to go, it might have been easy, but I burned 923 calories.
Right.
Regardless of how easy my mind felt it was, my body's like, bro,
Damn.
give me
198.
some food.
Yeah.
And I smashed food, and I'm like, all right, I feel good now. Did some stretching. I did come in and do a light lifting workout, but
Because Jeremy's such a wuss. He's this lightweight.
yeah, since Jeremy Foose is no, I'm just. But I did a little bit lighter weight than I would have done, because I just wanted to feel a little different. I haven't been doing a lot of lifting, so I was like, oh, let me see how this feels.
Yeah.
Knowing I had most likely a triathlon tomorrow, so it was just go through the motions, see how it feels, kind of dial in some of those techniques that, since I'm not concentrating on weight, I can focus on form a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it would have been very easy to just go, I should go do blah, 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 or something very hard. But I also think that's one of the coolest parts of kind of getting into a triathlon mindset or triathlete mindset is, wow, it's such a different world than I'm used to. But
I
it's
was thinking
not.
about that today, though.
That's the world I used to live in, and then I've moved so far away from it, and now I'm kind of transitioning back, and it's like, man, these people are tough. Like there's so much that goes on in your head. There's so many ups and downs of a ride,
Of
a bike,
Yeah.
of a run, of a swim. Like there's times I caught myself getting cocky about the 12th mile. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna average 17 mile. Oh my God, I'm tired. It's so easy because you're out there for so long. You got these. I finally remember take a cliff block about an hour in, and I was like, oh, that's why I felt like shit. So you sit there, and there's so many things to remember, and there's so many moving pieces that you sit there and go, man, if I don't dot my I's and cross my T's, this could go
pretty bad, quick.
Quick. And I felt like after I got off the bike today, I could have ran 5 miles fairly easy, but I didn't think it was worth testing it, knowing I was going to probably do a full triathlon tomorrow. It's just not worth it. But keeping present in that, I swam pretty fast yesterday. I don't know why. I do know why. Jason texted me his impressive, I think he got into 130s per 100 yesterday on his Garmin, and he texted me, he said, eat that, bitch. So I went out and did some intervals and went like 116. I said, suck it, ho.
There you go.
So we had a little back and forth on
That's
that.
funny.
But that's the other side, is the speed training. I think that's where it gets confusing, is you do all this heart rate stuff to go long, and then you're like, you still have to not forget about these short bursts to make sure your speed stays up. And
Is that where like the Thursday workouts would be helpful?
Yes.
Okay.
The Thursdays, the Wednesdays, those days where you're doing condensed runs, bikes, swims, cross training, where you're doing these condensed bursts of energy that last somewhere in the 0 to 3 minute range.
Yeah.
And then you rest about the same amount of time, or you do low effort movement about the same time, and then you go back and hit it, and then you go low, and then you go back and hit it. Now you're working that opposite end of the spectrum. So one end, I'm working real aerobic based, right? I'm hitting this consistent low heart rate, I can do it for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours versus anaerobic. I'm doing something that at 3 minutes, I'm stretching my ability to hold on to this. Yes, I can hold on, but I'm in that maximal heart rate.
Because that's because that's what I was thinking. Because with speed stuff, I mean, like with my swim on Wednesday, it was actually the farthest I've done swimming ever, like total. But I did the intervals and split them up and everything like that, and it was just interesting to have to be able to start fresh. I just would usually just go and then just keep going.
Since I know what you did, take that 600.
Yeah.
You probably attack the 600 differently than you'd attack the 3 200s.
Yeah.
Which you attacked way different than you did the 100s.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to the 50s, you're like, fuck it.
Yeah. Go!
Yeah. So, and that's kind of the plan is I want you to get to the point where that 600, 800, 1,000, those longer distances, and that'll be a moving target. At some point, 200 will feel like nothing to you. And then that 600 has to go to 800, 1,000, 1,200.
Well, and it was cool too because usually like for the 600 I was doing 75 free and then 25 breast and then when I did the 200s it was 100, 25 and then the remaining 50. God, this fly has been pissing me off this whole time.
Yeah.
Or the remaining
CRDs.
It does. I just batting
if you're
it away.
not watching YouTube, a fly's trying to eat
my dragon fruit bowl.
Lex's dragon fruit bowl. Anyway, continue.
Sorry. Fucker.
I almost got it.
No, you didn't. And then the 100s I did all. So that was the most freestyle I've done. And that's all I can think about. Sorry, I'm gonna look away from it.
Oh, I got it.
Ew. It's like some Mr. Miyagi shit here.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
You were able to do freestyle.
That was the most freestyle I've ever done, throughout, and that was the longest period of time, and my shoulder felt great.
That's good. That's
so
really good.
It was good.
I didn't get it.
No, you did not. I'm done.
Yeah, I noticed when I was swimming, this was the first time I swam strictly freestyle the entire time because the longest I went on my intervals were 200. And I didn't have a set rest period per se. I just kind of went, all right, I'm going to rest about a minute and a half. On the 200s, on the 100s, I rested about a minute. On the 50s, I don't even remember what I rested. It was 40 seconds or something like that. I try to let myself get just about to the point where I was I feel good, but I was still I wanted to be somewhat out of breath, so it didn't feel like I was fresh.
See, I thought we were supposed to do a minute, 30 seconds, and then 20 seconds.
That's what I gave you.
Oh, okay.
This time I was strictly, one of the things I've not been doing is since I've been back in the water, I've been just fucking around. I was trying to stay out of actually trying on the swim. A 130 pace for me usually means I'm mixing in backstroke, breaststroke, things like that. This one I was just trying to say, all right, what do you actually have in the tank if you had to?
Yeah.
And this is probably not even for this year's Ironman. This is if I decide to do another one. I know kind of how long it takes me to get into actual being able to push it shape. But there was times where, in college I was doing the 1,000 in 10 minutes and 10 seconds. I was able to hold per 50 yards. I was holding about a 31 second 50 for 10 minutes straight. It's just I'm not there. But as I told Jason, if I'm practicing getting back down into I think some of the hundreds, I was doing 112s, 114s, things like that. Now that 130 might become a 125 and feel easy. That's what you're looking for when you're doing that stuff is if I'm running a 7-minute mile, even if I'm only doing it for a quarter mile, half a mile, 3-4 minutes, and then I'm resting and I'm repeating, that 9-10 minute mile at the lower heart rate becomes less stressful.
Yeah.
And then I'm practicing usually twice a week, or hopefully 2 more times a week. I'm practicing that lower heart rate where I'm just running at that consistent heart. So I'm hitting it from both ends. I'm hitting it from I'm practicing, like, that's the conversation I was trying to have with people is mile per hour pace is subjective. You can sit there and finish and go, that was easy. That was hard. It was somewhere in between.
Right.
It's not subjective anymore. My heart rate was X.
Yeah.
It was easy or it wasn't.
Right.
So when you're always working on that heart rate, yeah, my 7-minute miles feel okay. My heart rate's 162. They're not easy.
Right.
But, so you got to hit it from both ends. So I got to work where I am actually working at an easier pace. Heart rate wise, my heart rate is not working, or I'm not working as hard because my heart rate's low, and I'm moving at a consistent pace. So now I'm able to hold that pace, and my heart rate's going to start dropping. Now I'm hitting the speed end, so when I go to move faster, my body's capable of keeping up.
Okay.
So you
Makes
kind of
sense.
hit it from both ends of the spectrum. But if I'm always working long or I'm always working short and I'm never playing in between, I fall into either end of the spectrum.
Right.
And that's where usually dumb mental mistakes happen that cause injury. So same thing if you're cross training or whatever. If I'm always doing maximal lifts, my technique is usually falling apart 80% and above. That's where most technique flaws happen. So if I'm always working in that zone, I'm not getting better.
Right.
I'm probably missing, and I'm not down in. Conversely, if I'm always working at a super lightweight,
You're not
always
holding.
dialing in my technique, I'm not getting any stronger. So now I'm just staying status quo. All your progress happens in the middle. So
Damn.
this whole work hard work pays off. Matt Frazier, I love the dude to death.
Yeah.
Hard work does pay off. It pays off more? Smart work.
Yeah.
Because if I go in and I work hard, but I also work equally as smart and I'm cerebral, now I'm going to get to where I want to be versus everybody thinks hard work pays off means go bury myself into the ground. Go work out until I can no longer
Take off your
stand
shirt
anymore.
dramatically and fall to the
all
ground.
that other stuff.
Yeah.
Hard work only gets you as far as your brain allows you to. But if I'm always working sub-maximally or if I'm always working less than maximally, I'm going to just work really hard to stay in that category. That's why you see people hit these walls. And Jason was asking me, he goes, are you concerned with burnout with how well your training's been going? And I'm like, what's weird is I felt super burned out at Glass City. Now I feel 100% refreshed because I'm now on this plan where I'm like, I know where we're going. And I'm consistently doing just these little jumps, just enough to go like 750 swim to an 800 swim. Not crazy dramatic. Probably not going to change your time, maybe a minute and a half on the swim. 26 mile bike to 28 mile bike. I might have added 8 minutes to my bike. I think we're staying at 5K.
We're at
run.
5K again this week.
So doing the same exact run, I'm getting just a little better.
Yeah.
But I'm giving myself just enough to go, ooh, you gotta push it a little harder. I got pushed 10 minutes harder than I did last time. Roughly, give or take. Obviously, we have heart rate and things like that. But I'm roughly giving myself about a 10-minute fudge factor. Versus if I go, oh, hard work pays off, I gotta work harder, I might jump bigger and stress myself to the point where I'm like, ooh,
That's not good.
10 minutes, it seems reasonable. An hour, in my mind, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do another hour. But if every week, yes, right now it seems easy, but if you think about it, in 3 weeks, we're going to be up in the 34-mile range for the bike. But it's gonna feel just like it does this week, where you're going, oh, I just got to go a little bit further.
Yeah, because we did 24 the first week,
24
right?
the first week, yeah.
Because I think I said at the last podcast, I was like, shit, like I did a sprint.
Yep. But I'm not calling it a sprint. I'm not calling it Olympic. I'm not calling it anything.
I know,
I'm
but
saying,
like,
here's your numbers,
yeah.
hit them.
And you don't think about it until you're like, oh shit.
But then all of a sudden you're gonna go, huh? 70.3 don't feel that different because the week before I did 68.7 or whatever. Whatever it is. I didn't do the actual math, but the plan is just give yourself stretch it a little more, stretch it a little more, stretch it a little more. And the sum of everything you do, I think I said that in my last book, the sum of everything we did makes it easier.
Yeah.
So during the week, give you a little bit more. Next triathlon, just a little bit more. But you've been there.
Right.
So it's just this little bit. And Jason's like, wow, I didn't think about that. I was thinking I was going to get burned out. And I'm like, no.
No.
I think the biggest jump I have on a bike is 4 miles.
I don't want to rate Wanderlust.
You should rate Wanderlust. No. I don't ever rate anything. I'm horrible about that.
Okay, so this week's 828 5K. Next week is 934 miles. 1,032.5. 1150, 35.6. But you're on vacation that day.
Yeah. See what I mean?
I didn't know that. That's what it said.
But see what I mean, though? They're smaller. But if, say you jump from today to 5 weeks from now, that's going to feel like a much different jump than the 5 weeks in between.
That's true.
So my way of avoiding burnout is don't make it to where you're stressed. Don't make it to where you're pressing more than you have to.
Yeah.
So if I'm always going, God damn, I got this to do today.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like tomorrow I'm seriously have zero apprehensions about doing a triathlon.
Yeah.
Like 800 yard swim, okay. 26 mile bike or 28 mile bike, okay. 5K, okay.
Yeah.
Seems
I've done it
reasonable.
twice now.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't seem that hard. But if I skip 2 weeks, or if I'm all over the board, it could get hard.
yeah.
But my plan, I've said it probably every fucking podcast, is I don't want the 70.3 to feel that hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not even that I don't want it to feel hard. If it gets hard at the end, that's whatever. Like towards the end of the run is when I'm hoping that happens.
Well, it's hard subjective. Like,
Yeah,
I want
okay,
you to feel like right now, if I did it, it would be fucking hard. But I want it to feel like it's just another jump.
Yeah.
It's just another week, and you're like, oh wow, I've done that before, or I've done pretty close to that before. So it's not that hard. I'm not saying, as you're well aware, there's times you go out and you're not feeling it. So tomorrow I could not feel it, and tomorrow's gonna be a real hard day. But it's not gonna be as hard if I stick to these small incremental jumps.
Right.
Now again, this is just my opinion. Does not mean there's not more than one way to skin a cat. There are several ways that people
Why
can
do
do
people
it.
say that? Because skinning cats is gross.
I don't know. There's 1,000 ways to kill this fucking dog.
Sorry.
She missed it too.
Damn it.
Missed it again.
Yeah, I did. All right, sorry.
But anyway, I don't know why people say there's more than one way to skin a cat. Probably because there is.
I'm sure there is, and it's disgusting.
I don't know.
One more than one way to skin a human.
Yeah, that's true. Put the lotion in the basket. Yeah, but it was a beautiful day for a bike ride today.
It really
That
was.
was
Minus the rain.
Yeah, I got lucky. I missed all the rain.
Yeah.
So.
It wasn't even like it rained hard.
It was sunny and raining though. That was what was weird.
And it was, so I mean, I could see everything just fine, but my jacket was like see-through towards the end, and I was like, well, I got a little wet.
Yeah, it's pretty. Again, I think, especially with as much time as we spend down here, we don't spend as much time outside enjoying days like this. So it was
weird.
It was really nice to just be outside and not really worried about anything.
I want to be all one with nature, but the possum ruined it, so I'm trying not to be one with nature.
Yeah, I don't really care about I think I care about the nature stuff, but it's just, like I said, it was very meditative, so to speak, today. Just being out, thinking about, the jokes that I make about, being a bad dad because I swear too much or I do this or that. I'm like, you just get time to really think about that stuff, and it's really, I don't give a fuck what people think about my parenting style, to be honest. I care what I think, I care what Debbie thinks, I care what my kids think, but you should still always internally audit that shit. Like,
self-evaluation.
Am I doing what's right for my kids? And ultimately both my kids made fucking honor roll. It was their last day of school today.
Hey.
That's what I look for. Is I don't think either of my kids are randomly assholes to people. Like, my son sticks up for kids that are being bullied in his class. Like that's the shit that I look for, and I go, all right, cool. I'm doing something right there. But I understand the way I talk and the way I am. I'm one of those that really don't think about what I say. I almost got diarrhea of the mouth. I just say whatever.
You do.
It comes in my head, and I'm like,
Say
fuck yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, that was a stupid thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
But my actions, I hope, tell people, like, if you can get past those stupid things that I say, my actions truly show where I am. Where I feel some people, like, their actions tell such a different story than the words coming out of their mouth. And I'm like, even though I'm saying the same exact thing, like my actions tell a different story than what's coming out of my mouth, their actions tell a story that's different. I feel like you get judged way more by what comes out of your mouth when you're sitting there going, I see you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't mean what you just said. Like, you're saying all these nice things, but you're a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what's been interesting, like, I think, throughout this whole process is being able to reflect on yourself. And we've talked about, like, the authenticity and stuff like that. And I just think it's helped more, I think, with just communication and really, I don't know. I'm trying to think how I want to explain this, but
I think it helps with your internalizing how you feel about what's going on.
yeah.
For me, that's what I do, is I'm able to shut out the surroundings. And here's a perfect example. Yesterday, I put up 2 pieces of equipment in the gym that haven't been touched in a fucking year.
Yeah.
And you would have thought I was selling the gym with some of the text messages and all I'm getting. I'm like, guys, that's a weight vest holder. That rope yoke literally holds weight vests. And my barbell.
Yeah.
Has not fucking moved outside of maybe once in 6 months.
Oh, yeah, we used it that one time.
Yeah, we used it one time for a workout and it was pretty stupid. We could have done it over a box or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, again, people take this action and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's not that big a deal to me. It's just...
And we never do use that squat rack either.
Yeah, it holds crossover symmetry and Debbie's barbell.
Yeah.
So I was like, is it really that big of a deal that you're doing that? But I'm, through this whole process, I'm able to internalize. A year or 2 ago, I'd have been very frustrated that people thought that we were closing or we were doing this or whatever. And I'm just, through all this, I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I just said, read into it what you want. You guys will know if I'm closing the gym.
Yeah.
I would tell the members before I told anybody else.
Yeah.
I would not put it on Facebook.
Right.
That's not who I am. I'm not fucking CrossFit. I wouldn't just make a rash decision.
You're not just going to delete all your social media.
I wouldn't make a rash decision without first having a conversation with the people that make JG3 what it is. So in dealing with this process and understanding how different we all are, there's good and bad to that. Like, there's different people feel differently about training and they do their thing and it's awesome. I do my thing and it's awesome, but keeping yourself separate and realizing and looking at other people and going, just because you're not doing it my way does not mean it's my job to decide if that's right or not. But if you're bitching nonstop, I'm gonna fucking tell you.
Yeah.
Don't complain if you're not following what I'm telling you to do.
Right.
Because I don't, like, at that point, I'm just gonna tell you, here's the plan that I told you to follow. Follow it. But yeah, it's been an eye-opening process for me. But I always go back to, this was never about anything other for me. It was about nothing more than me and Joe made a decision that we were going to do a triathlon together. Knowing full well when, by the time he had made that decision with me, it probably was never going to happen. So it was one of those things that, in my mind, I always knew I was doing it by myself. And then other people jumped in, which is awesome, but all these outside factors change it into this different story. And I'm like, no, this was always about, I'm going to hang a fucking medal on Joe's gravestone. That's it.
Yep.
Like, all the other bullshit does not matter. Yeah, it takes up a lot of mental capacity. It takes up a lot of time, but it doesn't matter to me if anybody cares or not.
Right.
August 17th, to wrap this up. That matters to me.
That matters to me too.
Joe Pemberton Food Fun Fitness Festival. I probably fucked up how I worded that. But
yeah,
anyway.
There's going to be food and fun and fitness and flies.
Joe Pemberton, one of his goals was to do an outdoor competition here. And on August 17th, we're fucking doing an outdoor competition here.
I'm so excited.
We got some other things we're gonna announce. We're working on, but I'm working on getting all those out the right ways. But so August 17th, if you don't already have it marked off, mark it off, because that's gonna be an absolute fun time. We're raising money for Elena and Taylor to go to college, which, if you've never had kids before, it's a very expensive thing, and it is very important to the parents that they're able to do that. So if you're available, come out. We're going to have 50-50. We're going to have a whole bunch of other stuff. It's going to be fun. And then, no, it's Craig. I don't think, do we have anything else to plug?
I don't think so. I think
Fort Ball Pizza.
Besides Fort Ball Pizza, my sponsor.
Yeah. Fort Ball Pizza is sponsoring Lex through this whole thing.
I'm a sponsored athlete.
Yeah. Hashtag carbs all day, baby.
Oh God.
Did you notice after Monday's triathlon, not to get back into something, but how hungry were you?
I was starving.
Like,
I went home and I smashed
like
anything I could.
I think that's the beautiful thing about this triathlon.
I've eaten so much food.
Right after you finish, you can eat whatever the fuck you want. If you
burn so
want
many
a
calories.
pizza, if you want a pizza with fucking pickles on it,
You can
eat
get
that
it.
shit.
And you can get it at Fort Ball.
Yes, the cinnamon rolls are where it's at. Anyway, this has been episode 11 of the Road to Ironman with JG3 Fitness, where I fucked that up. Where JG3 Fitness, where I can't doesn't exist.
Boom.
I thought that I caught the fly.
She's like, I got the fly. I didn't catch the fly.